my pronunciation as well. We have Dr. Catherine Gettal, the ICT Secretary, who will shortly be moderating a discussion, also from the Ministry of ICT. And our very important guest from Mauritius. We have Honorable Yogita Swaminathan. He is the Minister of Technology, Communication and Innovation, who is also going to share the projects and initiatives that they're working on that can impact positively the whole of Africa. So I would like to request Principal Secretary for your opening speech.
Concurred that there's need for government approach, collaborative approach. First of all, what would you be looking at from the Kenyan side, or maybe from
Well, in terms of collaboration, I said we need to work together as nations, both in learning experience. Actually, one of the main objectives of this workshop or this conference is to learn from peers. What has been done in other countries, what other countries are doing. Like, say, for example, we have gone through the enactment of Computer Misuse and Cybersecurity Act. Other countries are still in the process. Then, how do we share expertise? How do we share experiences and knowledge, and in the areas of capacity building? Like, one of the efforts Mauritius has already done is that they have established a cybersecurity institution whereby they are building capacity on that. That's something we'd also want to borrow from them, and actually also establish our own cybersecurity capacity building center, whereby we'll be creating knowledge, informing people and developing capacity of our people, and also creating awareness, because again, awareness is very important. Now that technology is changing fast, things are moving very fast, we need also to move with the trend and bring our people to speed in terms of what is happening in the cybersphere.
Minister. Actually, first of all, I would like to thank the Kenyan government for hosting this event, because whatever we are doing today is linked directly to technology. Any movement that we are doing today is technology. So this is part of our life. And cybersecurity is a fundamental part that we really need to address. And whatever experience, what we are doing today is that we need to share. We need to share what happened, what is going to happen, and we need to focus what will happen in the future. And we need to have lots of cyber drills to see how do we tackle these issues if something really happen. And we all know that today we are vulnerable and the whole world is changing. It's a fast-moving environment. Those criminals, they're also working very fast. And this is something that we need to join hands together, because the issue of cybersecurity doesn't concern only one country. It concerns the whole continent. Today we're talking about the African continent. This is why I've said in my speech that we need to speak one language. This is how we are going to counterattack this problem, and also to ask our youth to get involved in it. And I've also in Mauritius, I've just launched a workshop before coming here to address the problem of gender balance. We have seen that in cybersecurity, we have little women really involved. And we have launched a workshop in Mauritius, and this is something that we can pass on to our colleagues in Africa, because we need more and more women into the cybersecurity. Maybe because it's new. No one is interested. This is why we launch it at school levels in Mauritius, so that we can get these young girls to be interested in cybersecurity. Thank you.
My name is Abel Mohacha from the Start. You touched something on the critical infrastructure.
Yes.
So if you can just tell us what it entails and what is in it for Kenyans.
Well, the critical infrastructure bill was basically looking at reviewing what are the critical infrastructure in terms of technology and how to protect them. So this bill is still under development, so to speak. We have not moved to the stakeholders bit, but basically we are looking at all our infrastructure. And now ICT has become very important. You realize everything revolves around ICT. So we need to look at what are some of the infrastructures that we have that we can actually classify as critical infrastructure, and how do we protect them, and what are the circumstances or scenarios under which we will be protecting them. So the bill will be addressing all these particular issues, more so looking at their security aspects.
By infrastructure, what exactly?
Infrastructure is the full ICT systems. Are we talking about data centers? We are talking about the fibers that is running, the masts and all this. All these are ICT related infrastructure, and they're actually very critical. In fact, in our discussion today, we are saying if, for example, today M-Pesa would be going down, would go down for almost 1 day, that would create a lot of problems in terms of the financial environment, or even all the mobile money transfers. So you see, we have to look at what are the infrastructures on which these very important services are running. So those are the areas that we need to protect.
When do you intend to have it implemented out?
Well, as you are all aware, like I mentioned, our legal process, our processes of creating the law starts with the stakeholders' involvement and all that. So we have a draft bill that now will be engaged. We need to expose to the stakeholders for the stakeholders' review. So let me say, in a couple of months, again, we also don't control the parliament calendar. In a couple of months, we should be having this ready because we have a draft bill that now needs to be taken to the stakeholders.
Yes. What about the data protection and privacy bill?
Correct.
We already have the Computer and Misuse and Cybersecurity Act.
Correct.
What I'm missing, because from that act you included things of, to do with hacking, penalty.
Yes,
What
yes.
do you intend to add to this particular bill?
Yes, the data protection, privacy and data protection bill will be basically looking at the issue of data itself. Within the computer misuse and cybersecurity, we did not much deal with the data. For example, right now, there is a lot of data about people that is being collected. The question is, you don't know who is keeping that data and what they can be used for. So within this particular bill, we are actually going to even identify who is that person who is collecting data. What are the parameters or the requirements of anybody who should be collecting data? And especially data about citizens, to what extent can you keep that data and to what extent can you use that data? Right now, I can actually give you information about me and then you collect that data, but there is really no control as to who else can you share that data with, who else can look at that data, and what else can that data be used about. So basically, we are looking at data protection. And from technology point of view, we are actually saying the next important front in technology is on that element of data, and the data is becoming very important. People are mining data, using your data. So, have you given authority for that person to, say, for example, use your data? You've gone to a hotel. That guy is saying so and so have gone to this particular hotel. That is data about you. When that data is being used for business ends, have you given authority for that? And what are the requirements for you to use that? So basically, it is all about data and data protection. That if you collect my data, what else can you do with it? If you ask me information about me just because I came to your hotel, can you use that information to give it to somebody else to do another thing? Those are the areas that the data protection and the privacy will
So
be.
this will target the likes of Google, Facebook in the wake of the breaches that we've had before.
Yes, and it will be taken care of. Basically, we are looking at protecting the interest of the owner of that data, that your data is not misused. Yeah.
According to a recent report by Syria, Kenya lost about 2 billion shillings in security issues last year alone. And this number has been increasing, going up every other year. How are you preparing to reduce it in the coming years, apart from the issue of bringing up policies? How do you intend to reduce it?
Well, again, on the issue of protection of information or even the cyber security and all that, the onus now goes back to the owner of that particular system. You see, if, for example, a bank, whereby a lot of these transactions are happening, loses that particular money, ours is to provide an enabling environment. This conference acts as one of those opportunities where people will share experiences. What technologies have you used in protecting your financial systems, for example? Because when you talk about the 21 billion, it's all about money. So people are sharing experiences that what are you doing to ensure that you have protected your financial systems. Countries are sharing information about how they are protecting their various financial systems or what technological solutions are available, so that people moving forward, institutions are able to implement, banks are able to implement, or even organizations are able to implement these solutions. So having gone around the conference, there is a lot of displays or also a lot of sharing of technologies. So people are learning what is available outside there in the market and what they can use to protect themselves against cyber attacks.
Yes, finally for me, what is the status of the data protection and privacy bill?
Yes.
To the minister, how do you execute cases of attacks that emanate from outside your country? Because how do you prosecute attacks that come outside?
This is why something that we are really working on it. This is why I've talked of the harmonization of the law. This is why we need to speak one language, because those criminals they will find loopholes in the law. Because right now someone can be sitting anywhere in the world and sending attacks simultaneously to different countries. And which country do we take them to task? Is it the country which is being attacked? Let's say they've attacked 3 countries. Which country take them to task, or is it from the country of origin? And now if they are sitting in the cyberspace somewhere, this is all the loopholes that we'll need to address. This is why now everyone is sitting down together. We need to harmonize the law, and so that we can really attack this criminal. You imagine one cyber attack can paralyze the whole country. You imagine one simple attack on one airport, the amount of money lost, and the amount of businesses that got to change the way they do business overnight. This is things that we really need to address really fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the status, I think I mentioned it, that it is undergoing stakeholders validation, and that is a requirement of the law. So it goes through stakeholder validation, and then now it just goes through the normal motion. Yeah. So at this moment, it has the stakeholders validation. And like I mentioned, we don't have control over Parliament's calendar. So once it is there, then we will just wait for the parliamentary procedures to follow. Thank you very much. Yes.
There's also the latest sector